And little bit about myself. My name is Yukiko Nakayama. I'm a real estate developer based in Washington, D.C. And I have been investing last 14 years. I manage from acquisitions, rehab, property management, and dispositions. Prior to my real estate careers, I working as the marketing consultant to the multi companies, including Samsung and Fujitsu. And also I used to work as an IT consultant at KPMG Consulting. And my spare times, I enjoy scuba diving, whitewater rafting, and swimming. And I'm originally from Japan, and I live in Northern Virginia with my families. And I do have a real estate license in DC, Maryland, Virginia, mainly investment project. Today's agenda to purchase small apartment building. I talk about mindset first, and then next goal setting, how to find the deals, how to analyze deals, how to make deals, and how to fund deals. And then most importantly, how to do property management for the small apartment building. That's really important. And then lastly, how to sell. When you sell, there's some important factor that you have to consider. And then fast mindset. I know many people heard about importance of mindset because it's really the key in the beginning. If you don't have a good mindset, it's very hard to make it work in a real estate investment. So I'm going from first, you have to work on your belief systems. If you have a weak belief in yourself, it's gonna make it more difficult. Like a kind of limiting belief system that I think your environment, your background, kind of make you believe that you are limited for something. Could be like something like I don't know anything, or maybe I don't have the monies, or I don't have a support systems. But those belief system could be like there's a two point. If you don't have the monies, then you can be resourceful to find the monies. We always talk about OPM, other people monies in the finance. Most of the bigger deals is done by OPM. So there's if you don't have any background in real estate, you are here. You can start from here and learning more and more so that you will have a skill and knowledge to do the deal. And if you don't have a support systems, you can join local REIA. The REIA is a real estate investment club. Usually you can find in your local area. Before pandemic, there's a bunch of them in person. You can pay fee like maybe $50 to $100. You can join, and I highly recommend it. After pandemic, if you can go meet people to support you, fellow investors, or maybe potential investor for your project. So build your support systems and try to get rid of your belief system that it doesn't working for you right now. And don't try to rely on other people to motivate you. I know some people who keep attending those motivated seminars. I think I'm probably, like bad about this, but you try to attend some seminars and then you kind of motivated like 1 or 2 days, but then after that you crash. So it's kind of hard to rely on other people to motivate you. So you have to find to way to motivate yourself by yourself. So that's also the key. And create the habit to keep your mind going in the right directions. I think maybe some people may know like a miracle morning. There's the book and the community waking up like 5 a.m. in the morning and then start like writing journals, exercise, affirmations. There's a habit you can create, keep your mind going in positive directions. When you have a very positive mindset, it makes easier to do the real estate investment. It's kind of connected. When you have a positive mindset, you explore, or you're gonna become resourceful. And then tough times coming, it's make you really tough, so that you can kind of overcome some problems that you might face. And then courageous and confirmatory. So people kind of like sometimes become autopilot. Maybe you wake up like 7, used to go to work, and then you don't remember how to get to the work because you're autopilot, just driving by yourself. And then some people, like whole life can be an autopilot. So instead of following like everyone's steps, I think you need to create one for yourself. So, could be real estate investment or could be something else. You need to find your way and stop living autopilot life. And then life is not shaped by your environment. You can kind of blame sometimes your environment, but it's not. You can shape your life for your own making, and then despite your environment. And then success is deliberately working toward goal. So anytime maybe you envy someone's success, but as long as you are working toward your goal deliberately, you are success. So just keep going toward your goal, but you have to know where you're going. Let's Alice in Wonderland. Like, Alice asked the rabbit, where should I go? But the rabbit said to Alice, if you don't know where you're going, it does not matter which direction you're going. And that's so true. So every time you see the rabbit, just remember what I said. You have to know where you're going. You have to have a plan. If you want to buy the apartment building, follow the steps. If you want to buy the bigger apartment, follow the step. And if you want to buy commercial building, follow the steps. But you have to have a goal, and you have to know where you're going. And then wheel of life. This is a concept I think many people may know. Like you can Google wheel of life. It'll probably show up. Basically, you can kind of draw the circle, and then you kind of chop to, I think maybe it was 6 or 8, like a pizza. And then you put like a business, your finance, family, community, your faith. So each point you evaluate by yourself 1 to 10. And sometimes you have a very poor finance, but maybe you have a very good relationship with your families or friend and something like that. So you evaluate maybe a couple months, every quarters, and then see where you stand. So I think the real estate people tend to be, maybe successful, making money, busy, but your family life is disaster. So make sure your life, work, business is balanced so that, it's not all about money. You just need to experience your life better. And next, after mindset, I think you will work on the goal setting. I know you tend to go make goal setting, but this is kind of like maybe easy to say, but tough to implement. Usually, you want to set manageable chunk goal for each time frame. Short terms, maybe like 1 to 2 years, and midterms, 3 to 4 years, and long terms, 5 to maybe more longer years. And then set time aside to review the goals. If it's possible, maybe do with your significant other so that they can be on the same page. It's kind of tough if you have not supporting partners, but you can still do it. It's critical to review the goal and then adjust it if you need to course correct. And then review your resources. What's the gap to achieve your goal? Is that you don't have a money, or is that you don't have experience, or is that you don't have a background? So I think if you can identify the goal and then identify the gap, then you can kind of fill the gap. If you don't have the monies, maybe you can start saving, and then you can start talking to potential investors. And if you don't have experience, maybe you can just start watching someone's doing the rehab, or watch someone's buying the investment properties, or maybe you can start becoming an agent and then help other people to buy and sell investment properties. Then you don't have to risk your money to experience the transactions. And if you want to accelerate your success, try 12-week goals instead of 1-year goal, because 1 year can be, you can approximate, maybe set up in the January, and then you think, oh, I can do this by December. December is kind of far away. But if you set 12 weeks, you have to get the result at the end of the 12 weeks. So then you kind of back forward. Oh, if I have to buy, let's say 4-unit apartment building in 12 weeks, what do I have to do? Okay. Contact brokers, or maybe sell something to make a cash for down payment. And then, you start talking to brokers or looking for, advertisement or newspapers, and then see what's the available multifamilies. And then I think the Mike question, is there a way to pull the list of multifamily property? Oh, in our area, we have an MRIS, So we do have a list of the multi-family property you can pull, and if you have target to like a bigger property, like 100 unit, those are not on the MRIS. So it could be either coasters or Yardi. Those subscription can be more expensive, like 5,000 to 10,000 or more a year. So it's tend to be a professional investor subscribe those, but the MRIS or some other the list, I think your buyer's agent can help you that, unless you have a license by yourself. Okay. If you don't have any questions about goal setting, I will go next. How to find the deals. So I think small apartment building tend to be listed by the kind of residential brokers. And when you talk to the brokers, there is sometimes like off-market listing. So if you get to know the brokers in the area who tend to list those listing, that's probably the best. The one of the 4-unit apartment building I purchased was listed the agent that I know. So I had some inside track, and that was very beneficial for me. So you get to know brokers who tend to list those small apartment building. That's probably key to purchase good deals. And then also, if you have the agent, then you can ask, set automatic email alert using a system like MRIS. I think the other region may have different names, but they can set you up so that anytime the small apartment building hit on the market, they can send automatically the email alert to you so that you can kind of beat the competitions. And there's a website called LoopNet. There is some apartment building available on the LoopNet. So it's tend to sometimes kind of stale, but I think it's good to check the LoopNet, and there might be some properties that are good for you. And then it's also a good website to connect to the broker in the area so that you can build the relationship. And then Craigslist, I think mostly for, I think, single family home, but sometimes they do list small apartment building. So you can also check the Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and then also networking with other investors. Once you kind of build a relationship with other investors or wholesalers, they can send you the deals which may fit to your criteria. And then also driving for dollars. If you know what specific building that you are looking, you can also start driving for dollars. Sometimes the building looks vacant, tall glass, maybe like some violation notice. That could be a sign of distress. So you can find those the building, and then you can look up the owner, like a site called Prop Streams or some other website. You can check tax record, and then you can send the letters, or maybe you can also look up the telephone numbers and approach the owner directly. And then you can also buy the list from broker for the specific area who own the apartment building, and then you can market like sending letters and postcard. But you really have to be very consistent on the direct marketing. Usually response rate is like a 2 to 5%. And also you have to touch those people like about 7 or 8 times to get real response. So you have to be very patient with that direct marketing method to approach the sellers. And then also you can go to the courthouse, could be a probate case, and then they may have the small apartment building in the estate, so that you can find out by going to the courthouse. And then there's auctions. There's usually like a regional auction house in DC area, Alex Cooper's. They sell small apartment building, commercial building. I bought the one house in the auction. So you can check website, you can get on the buyer's list, or you can go there, talk to the auctioneer. So building relationship is a key. And then of course, I think since pandemic, there's many, the owner who cannot keep mortgage payment. So there could be a potentially short sale or REO coming up. So those could be a potentially short sales or REO. So could be watch out for those transactions coming up. Mike said, can you send a yellow letter? Yeah, I think so. They can be stand out from the other mail. So, but you really need to consistent to sending those letters to the owners. And then I think it's when it's a really competitive market, not just by sending letters, and then many investors, especially in our area, look up the telephone numbers and then directly contacting them and to approach the seller for sale. So depending on the competitiveness of the market, you need to kind of change the approach. Okay. So those are the source of the how to find the deal for the small apartment building. And next, how to analyze the deals. Trying to make a like very short and sweet. I have an example here. So I think you want to make a worksheet for cash flow calculation like Excel or Google Sheet. For example, this one's rent income is 150,000. Let's say property tax is 10,000. Insurance 5,000. Utility 15,000. Other expense is 5,000. So net operating income after deducting those expenses is 115,000. So when the area, the specific area is trading, you can check with these brokers, like ask the brokers what's the cap rate in this area. Let's say he said or she said cap rate is 10%. So that means the value of the building is $1 million and this much. You divide NOI by cap rate. And then when you see those values, then you can check comparable sales in a sales market, same product type, same conditions. Don't compare the very nice building with the like a kind of fix up apartment building. And then you can see, it's, if this building is, let's say, trying to sell at 1.5, but the value is really 1.1, and then you can tell that's not good deals. And then if, let's say, this building is actually selling at the 900,000, and then based on the rent income is 1.1. So, and then you will say, yeah, this might be interesting. And then you ask trading 12, like a 12 months of income and expense, and then rent roll, and then you will see if it's really kind of match up what they're saying. Some people don't have a good accounting system, but they try to get this trading 12 and rent roll, and then see if what they're saying really match up. So this is how, like, quick analyze, like a pricing is correct. And then you go to more detail. If you think that deal is kind of like a good deals, then you start building year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. Basically, you make assumptions about income and expense. Let's say income, increase by 3%, and the expense increase by, 2 or 3%. So you make a projections, and then you put the number of those projections. And then let's say you have to invest 300,000 to buy the building, but when you sell, you will make 500,000. Then the net cash flow is, the first year is negative 185,000, second year is 120,000, and then the third year is 130,000, and then fourth year is 140,000, and then the last year is that when you sell 650,000, including the sales proceed. So this is just example. It really doesn't happen. If you calculate those IRR into the spreadsheet, you will get 83% IRR, which is phenomenal. Usually you're looking for anywhere between 10 to 15%. I think anything beyond 15% is really a good deal. And then in this case, net present value, like a kind of what's the value of the project. This is based on 7% in internal rate, but this project is worth about 608,000. So depending on the difficulty of this project, is this like a full times working very hard and then make $608,000 in 5 years? Is it worth your time? Or, or there's another project make much more sense to you. So this is kind of metrics that you can use to see if you want to invest in a project. And then besides IRR and the NPV, there's some other metrics that you need to be aware. Most of the investors might prefer cash on cash returns. Basically, annual cash flow divided by money invested by investors. So let's say you bought the RV park, $1 million, and then net cash flow after all the expenses, you make 100,000. So that's 10% of return. So the cash on cash return is 10%, so which is pretty good. And when you talk to bank, this is the ratio that they really care, the coverage ratio. So NOI divided by annual mortgage payment amount. So usually it need to be higher than 1.25. So the business net operating income have to be covered more than mortgage, of course. So if it's barely covering, it's 1.0, but it's need to cover 1.25. So even you like the project, if this doesn't meet the bank criteria, then the project is no go. You can't finance by conventional bank financing. And I don't think you should be investing, project that doesn't cover the mortgage without any cushions. See, any questions to this analyzing deals? And then I will move on to next topics. And how to make a deals. Basically, talking about negotiations, when you are talking directly to the sellers, you kind of have to know the seller's motivations. As a downsizing, the seller inherited the house, and they need to find other place to move. Most of the times, apartment building, the seller doesn't live inside the house, but the 4-unit apartment building, sometimes seller actually live in the house. So they kind of have to find other place to sell the house. So sometimes it could be a little bit more difficult, but if you can kind of comfort them that you are flexible on timing to move, or even they actually don't have to worry about emptying the house. You can offer cleaning out, something like that, differentiate from other people, then it might be benefit for you. And then you kind of check the pain point. Maybe there's a tax, vacant tax attached to the house that they really need to pay. They might be sell on a tax auction next month. Then timely closing might be the key to win the sellers. And then there's some family or relatives living in the house, and then the family member didn't want to evict these people. So your flexibility to deal with the family member still living in the house could be good advantage for you to convince seller to sell to you instead of others. Basically get in the other person's shoes, what they're thinking, and then how can you resolve the problems that they're having, and present solutions. Sometimes you cannot offer a little bit higher offer, but you can kind of create the solution by, I cannot offer higher offer with bank financing, but if you can do the seller financing, you can, we can offer X higher than, the bank financing offer. So just talk to the sellers and then see what's the pain point and then present the solutions. And sometimes there's a gap between your offers and the seller's price. So you just ask, like, I'm trying to understand where the gap is coming from. Maybe they have higher offers in the past, but the market condition change, and then you can explain, like, showing the comparable. This is the market we are in. So this is the numbers. There's a sales comparable, and then that's why your offer is coming from, not the whoever offer you like a 6 months or 1 year ago. And then the follow up is the key. I think the most of the deals that made, like I had statistic like 16% is made by follow up, not the first offer. So I think the follow up is the key. Whoever consistently follow up with the sellers, I think these are the people who end up getting the deals. And then lastly, show professional. Be on time with meeting. Be on time on the property tour. And if those professionals show up, I think kind of keep the good professionalism. Like sometimes people making offer without seeing. I think it's you can show like you are investing time to properly tour the tour, and then the conditions, and then this is the offer. So I think it's best to kind of talk to the sellers, and then show that you're professional, and then investing in that business. What if they won't give you this info? Mike, I don't know, like which info. Maybe are you talking about T12? I'm assuming Mike is asking me about the financial informations. I think if they don't give the information, you can kind of guesstimate what might be the insurance and tax, but you can tell the income part. So you're taking a risk. So if you're taking risk, you will offer discount. I mean, you have to make a discount. And then seller should know that. If they cannot provide financial information, they need to discount. And depending on the state you're in, you really want to make sure, like eviction law, if someone's not paying, can you evict the tenant in your state? So those are the key. I really worry about income part. I think expense part, if you can like check the other comparable building in the area and then know those expenses, I think you feel more comfortable making offer. But the income side, I think it's really key that that they're paying, and if they're not paying, can you afford the months that you are going to evict? And then if you can evict in your state. For example, in DC, eviction is very difficult. So I don't think not so many people make an offer on the properties that with a bunch of eviction going on in the building. And if you don't have any questions, I'm going to next. How to find the deals. So this is first, maybe your cash. You save up and you will, get into the, for example, 4-unit apartment building. If 4-unit apartment building, you can still use regular residential mortgage. And depending on if you can use, for example, like a VA loans, and then it's gonna be very or no down payment. And if you can use it, I think it's very, advantageous. And you also can use like a 401k and IRA, depending on the case by case. For example, if you transfer 401k to self-directed IRA, you can also use to make an investment in a real estate. And then the OPMs, other people's money. If you have investors, they can also invest. Maybe write up, some operating agreement, and then if it's bigger deals, then it will be the syndications, and then you will prepare with SE lawyer offering memorandums, and then you can do the syndication. But the most likely, I think the small apartment building, you don't really syndicate because it's small apartment building, and then if you share all the profit and then income, I don't think it's gonna make sense, most likely. And then sometimes you can get seller financing. Some people don't like get hit in the capital gain tax, so there's some seller that who knows actually looking to seller financing so that they don't get hit big times in the tax. And then you can also do the lease options. You can get the lease options with the option to buy. And so that sometimes the building is bad conditions, and then you can get the regular mortgage financing, and then you can say, I will renovate and then refinance, and then you can do that with lease options. And there's a bank, commercial bank, that actually also finance the rehabilitation. So really, depending on the bank, or depending on the condition of the house, you can also get the bank to finance your construction as well. And then the hard monies, I prefer not to use hard money, but if you are pressed to close like right away, and then really there's a big cushion, you're getting like a 50%, 60% discount, but you have to close in next 2 weeks. Then you might consider hard money to close and then refinance later. But these are the very few rare circumstances I would use for hard money, especially buy and hold properties. And then I never use it, but there's a crowdfunding. You can go to the website and then see kind of project available for crowdfunding. And I think I mentioned syndications. I think most of the bigger apartment building is done by syndication. So if your small apartment building is more like 30, 40 unit, then you might consider going to the syndications. And then the joint venture, if you have team up with 2 or 3 people, then you might be able to do that, just joint ventures. One person buy, and then the other people offer the money, something, kind of depending on case by case. There's a lot of way to fund the deals. No questions so far. Okay. And next, property management. So small apartment property management is kind of challenge. You want to hire property management companies, but sometimes you don't have a margin to hire property management companies. I think when you start, you really want to budget the property management companies, but if you end up self-manage, that's okay, but you have to know what you're doing. And even hiring professional management companies, there's a kind of different categories. You can hire professional management companies, or you can kind of hire property manager who kind of manage for you. The small apartment building tend to have, some individual who specialize in property management companies. I don't have big preference which way, but I think the bigger companies may have more kind of structure process, so that if you're managing remotely or out of town, you might want to get the professional management company so that you don't have a lot of headache in case the one person companies, go missing, or decide not to do any property management company. So this is really up to your circumstance, but those are the things that you want to consider. And then also the state law is very important. So you want to research your state law, evictions, notice, and right now during the pandemic, in DC you cannot even file the notice. So you really want to make sure you follow the state law. Otherwise, you might get fined, significant amount. And so you really need to follow the state law. And then you want to make sure if you're hiring property management companies, you really want to make sure they know those state laws. And then also the insurance is also key. Make sure you have good coverage, and then if they cover certain instance, like liabilities, and then make sure your insurance is covered by the amount that also you invest in the properties. And then if you are kind of doing the self-manage, especially you need to keep documenting your process, leasing, onboarding the tenant, inspections, eviction, moving out, so that one day you can't afford some other people to manage, then you have a documentation to follow, so that they will be able to take care of without a lot of issues. And then bookkeeping, you want to have a very clean bookkeeping, especially when you start having multiple properties. It's gonna be a headache. So you really want to keep the separate bookkeeping for different properties. So in my case, I open the bank account for each properties, and then make sure it's separate. One property has one, the bank account and the credit card, make sure those are separate. So it's sometimes challenge, but I think you want to keep separate so that if the property is making money or not, you can actually just tell by looking at the bank account, and then see, make it easy for you. And then I do have a property management software called Rentec Direct, but that many people had a different software. Those softwares kind of keep track who's paying, who's not paying, what's the balance, and if they receive the payment on the credit card or the directly ACH to their bank account, and then they can check their balance by themselves, and then you can send the receipt automatically, and then they can also enter like any work order into repair work order to the portal, so that you can keep track of who made a request, and then what's the work order status, and then you can assign to your handymans or anything like that in the software. And then keep the reserve. Reserve is for the, if you have to repair the roof, if you have to make a HVAC, so that any type of disaster happens, of course your insurance should cover, but you also have to make a reserve for some emergency, and then also planned capital investment project. And then keys, it's always the issues, but that you want to keep the current key, so that any emergency happen, you want to get the key, for the buildings organized. So it's gonna be a challenge, but just make sure you have a key for each tenant, and then keep track of the keys. And then appliance, yes. When you have like a 10-unit apartment buildings, it's more like a job to keep track of appliance warranty informations, and keep track of work orders for appliance, but make sure you organize and have appliance like warranty information if we add warranty, and telephone numbers and model numbers, so that whenever you have to call the warranty companies, you probably have to give those information to warranty company, so that they can come back and repair your appliance. So far, I don't have a good experience with warranty companies, but I hope I can find a good warranty companies or systems so that they can take care of the repairs. And the HVAC, I think you can't rely on the tenant to change a filter. So sometimes you may have to have a handyman to change the filter sometimes, or and then also you might want to kind of send HVAC person like once or twice a year to make sure the unit is running and then clean. Otherwise, you will spend a lot of money to repair the newly installed HVAC unit, which happened to me. I had a brand new HVAC installed a year before, and then I have to replace it because the tenant didn't keep up with the filter. So it's very important to keep up HVAC, and then keep track of warranty information as well. And then